Hello again. We are ready for lesson number 3. If you've already made the hair scrunchies, if you have already made the ladder ribbon yarn necklace, that's a mouthful. It's like I can't believe it's not but a kind of name, ladder ribbon yarn necklaces. And you're familiar and comfortable, I should say, with how to hold the yarn, and repeat that same chain stitch. Now we're going to see how the chain stitch can help you recognize the components of the crocheting. So here we have some cotton dishcloths, and I like to do them in the round. It makes them, the kitchen things that I make, a little bit different than the square washcloths and such like that I make, which you would use to wash yourself with or wash your face with. So these round dishcloths are the same pattern that I use to make my dish scrubby rounds with, which will be our 4th lesson. And it's a different kind of fabric, so practicing on this helps you be able to see the stitches a little bit clearer. And so these are 2 that I already have made, and you'll see the front of it looks slightly different than the back. The back has this spiral kind of design, so the front is where we increase, the back is where we decrease and bring it back to that center circle. A lot of people who have seen me crochet in the round, it's the same growth for these as I use to make my hats. They say they don't like working in the round, and for me, hats and working in the round were the first thing that really clicked with me in crocheting. So just to quickly explain, here in the center is where we're going to begin, and then we increase as we go round each row. So in the center here, and what I hope you're going to get used to recognizing, is how the stitches come together in the spaces. So this first row has 10, the second one we're gonna do 2 stitches in each space, so we'll increase to 20, and then the next row we'll do 2 stitches and then 1, 2 stitches and then 1 in each space from the previous row, which will increase by another 10, and we'll have 30. With a hat, of course, you might want to expand it to 50 or 60 stitches, or even 70 stitches for someone who wants more of a floppy hat. And so this same kind of math goes on. So with these first projects that you're learning some great skills that will enable you to make some of those bigger, more fun projects like hats and stuff that you probably can't wait to get to. Okay, there are quite a few different kinds of yarns that you can choose from, patterns or colors I should say. I'm going to work with a plain color today and a light color, so you should be able to see the stitches. These ones that change color or have different colors, it's harder to recognize for me to show you how to recognize the stitches. So that's why I'm going to use a plain light colored one, so hopefully on the video you can see it a bit better. Okay, these are certainly beautiful and fun cottons to use, so I don't want you to not branch out to these. That would be probably your second phase of practicing with this kind of yarn. Now cotton is what I use for washcloths and dishcloths, because it is made to be used wet, whereas regular polyester or wool or whatever other yarns are made out of, those are made for hats and sweaters and things that you wear. Cotton is what you wash with, and so there is a difference in the kind of yarns that you choose. You don't want to make a washcloth or whatever, because it won't dry as clean, it's not as sanitary, or various other things like that I'm sure you can explore, and just the feel of it alone, it's much better to use cotton. So once you've chosen your thread that you are using, whatever color that may be, we're going to begin in the middle of our project. We're going to chain 3. So already you've had a couple of projects to practice your chain stitch, and we're going to leave a little bit of a tail, and we'll thread that in as we go. I'll show you how. So chain 3. I have to remember I'm showing you how to do this in real time, and I shouldn't just jump in and start the project as if you know what you're doing. Okay, so I'm going to leave a tail, and then I use what's called a magic loop in the middle because it tightens nice and close to the other stitches, and I don't want there to be a hole in the middle. You can certainly do a slip stitch where you just wrap the thread around your fingers and pull the yarn through to create a loop like this, but then I find this can't be tightened once you start stitching. Another thing I see for round projects is where they'll have you start off with a slip stitch and chain a few chains, 1, 2, 3 perhaps, and then join it to the first stitch. And then work as this as your middle. Again, I can't tighten these chains any tighter together, and I want on my round projects, I'm going to undo this, I want them to be nice and close and not come undone. So the magic loop is what I use, and I simply get my tail and I twist that tail away from me to create this little circle. Do you see the back of it is behind my working yarn that is attached to the ball? So again, I get my tail, I'm going to twist it away from me and then put my hook in, so it's as if that is the loop on my hook. Okay, I'm going to get my yarn wrapped around my finger, and I'm going to hold my project with my thumb and my middle finger, so again my forefinger can act as my tension to keep this nice and firm and workable. So in my magic loop, which isn't really tied or anything, it's just literally twisted around my hook, I'm going to chain 3. So I'm going to wrap the yarn around and pull it through that loop. So that's 1, 2, 3 chains. Now my magic loop almost looks like a pretzel. Do you see that? Kind of looks like a pretzel knot or whatever. This is going to be my circle that I am going to do my stitches in. All these stitches are in this magic circle, this magic loop, which it can widen and it can shrink, okay? But this is where all my stitches are going to be. So I've got 2 chains technically and this circle, all right? In fact, I'm going to undo it and do it again just so you can see it. Got my little tail, twist it away from me to create my loop, put my hook in, hold my project and chain 3. 1, 2, 3. I've got my little pretzel looking knot, and this hole is what I'm going to work in. So now I've got 2 chains here. I'm going to do 9 more double crochets in the center here. So a double crochet, you wrap the yarn around, you put it in the center hole, pick up your yarn on the other side, pull it through, and then for a double crochet, see there's now 3 loops on here. I'm going to pull the yarn through 2 loops. Actually, I'm telling you absolutely wrong. That would be a double crochet, but I don't want to do a double crochet. Let me go back. I want to do a half double crochet. So I'm back to the beginning with my, yeah, this is real-time mistakes crocheting. That's how I know the answers, because I've made the mistakes. Alright, so I've got my 2 chains and my little pretzel looking circle again. I'm going to do a half double crochet in the middle. That's what this is. I find the half double crochet sits flatter, and then the double crochets on these rows, even with my hats. If I do a double crochet here, it sticks up like a little cone kind of look, and I don't like that. If I do a single crochet here, it's too small. Not too small, but it's a smaller thing. So even in my hats, this center circle for me is always a half double crochet. Whether I'm going into half double crochets for all the rows, double crochets, single crochets, the size and the flatness of this half double in the center I think is really nice. So a half double crochet, you wrap your yarn around your hook, go through the center, or go through your stitch, which in this case is the center, pull the yarn through, and then see how there's 3 loops on there. I'm going to pull my yarn through all 3 at once. 1, 2, 3. And that's a half double crochet, because a double crochet, you pick up the loop, you go through and pull it through, so you have 3 loops, 1, 2, 3, but then you pull the yarn through 2 different times for a double crochet. You pick up the yarn, pull it through 2, and then pull it through a second time. But I don't want to do that. I want to do the half double crochet. So I pick up the yarn as if I'm going to do a double crochet, put it in the center, pull it through to get my 3 loops, but then I'll pull it through all in one go. 1. That's why it's a half double, because it starts off as a double but then ends up pulling it all the way through. So I'm going to do 9 of those. I had my chain, done 1, 2, I'm now going to do 7 more. Pick up my stitch, go through the center, and if you notice I'm kind of holding my tail yarn there as well and kind of wrapping the stitches around them. That's how I hide the tail at the same time, instead of leaving it just hanging there and I have to go back with a needle and thread and hide it. If I hide it as I go, it saves me time, and I'm all about saving time. Alright, so this is number 3. Wrap my yarn through the circle, pick up the stitch in the back, I've got 3 on my hook, and pull the stitch all the way through. I'll do it again. Pick up the yarn through the circle, pull the stitch through, got 3 loops, pull the stitch through all 3. And do you see at the end of these stitches I'm creating what looks like a braid, or what also looks like a chain stitch, which is why I enjoy showing people the scrunchies with the chain stitch, the necklaces with the chain stitch, because now you're starting to see how these crochet stitches also create this braid, this chain along the edge, and that helps you recognize how to read the pattern that you're making. Alright, so how many have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4. Pick up the stitch, pull it through, it's 5. Pick up the stitch, pull it through, that's 6. Pick up the stitch, pull it through, that's 7. Whoop. Pick up the stitch, pull it through, that's 8. Pick up the stitch, pull it through, that's 9. So now I think if I've counted correctly, I should have 9 stitches on around this ring, and I count the stitches by these little braids, these chains around the edge. Now if you remember, I said there was 10 stitches here in the middle, 10, 20, 30. So why did I only do 9? Well, let me check my counting around the side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I've already got 10. So I'm going to actually take one of the stitches off. Boop. And again, I'll count my chains around the edge. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Because when I join, and I'm going to pull this a little bit, when I join this stitch to this stitch with this stitch that's on the hook, this stitch on the hook is going to become my 10th stitch. So as I thread it through, right under this braid, this chain, I'll pick up the stitch. I'm going to do a slip stitch is what this is. You pull it through once and pull it through twice, and see, now that stitch that was on the hook is now sitting right here. So now I've got 10 loops, braids, chains, whatever makes it easy for you to recognize it around the edge here. So I'm going to count again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Great. Now I can close my circle. So as I hold my project, I'm just going to pull this tail, and it cinches it so nice and tight. Alright, my next row, I need to build up a layer. If you think of it as a brick wall, you build up a layer and you go around. You join it, you build up a layer, you go around, you join it, and so on and so forth. So now my next row, this was half double crochets. My next row is going to be a double crochet. A double crochet is like 2 levels of a stitch. So I need to have 2 chains to match it. 1, 2. If I was doing a single crochet, I would just have 1 level in the stitch. So I would just chain 1. Okay, let me show you again. There's my stitch. 1, 2. Alright, now I'm going to want to hide this tail as I'm working. So I'm going to hold it as I do my stitches in under these braids here and here. This is where my stitches are going to go, in these holes here and here. And to increase from 10 to 20, I'm going to do 2 stitches in each hole around. Now if you'll notice, this chain stitch is kind of coming out of this 10th chain. So instead of ignoring this chain, I'm going to create this as my last double crochet. So I'm going to do 2 double crochets here. So I'm going to wrap the yarn around, put it through my first stitch, and I'm going to just loop this over because I'm going to stitch around it just like I stitch around the braid. And then one loop pulled through, that creates my 3, and I'm going to pull it through these 2 first, and then I've still got 2, and I'm going to pull it through again. That's a double crochet. So while I'm holding this along with the braid for this row, I'm going to crochet around it, and it will hide it as we go. So again, pick up a stitch, go through your loop, pull it through. I've got 3, 1 and 2. So now I've got 2 stitches in that one hole. I'm going to do the same on this next one. Pick up a stitch, 1, 2. So do you see how this one, you can see there's 2. Right now this one has 1. I want to do a second one in there. Pick up the stitch, go through the hole, pull it through, 3 loops. I'm going to pull it through the first 2 and the second 2. Alright, I'm going to continue that all the way around. Alright. And if holding the tail and stitching around it is too much for you to think of right now, that's okay. This is going to be hidden in the middle of the project anyway. But I like to do it as I go, because then that tail has to come unraveled from all these stitches before it comes unraveled. Some people may like to cut the tail short, but I don't want my work to come undone. Right, 2 stitches in here, go under that braid, 1, 2, do a second one, 1, 2, next. Now what's nice about you being able to watch this video is that you can rewind it and pause it and catch up, or try and have a look and see what I did. I hope I'm holding it close enough so that you can see. Alright, do you see 2 in each hole? You're starting to recognize this V shape. Alright, so we've now made it all the way around with 2 stitches in each hole, and as you can see we've come right round. This is why I like working in the round. I can clearly see the end is here. It's like you're working around, you come to a brick wall, you know you're getting to the end, you'll build up and work the next row around. So I have done, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Okay, so I'm going to do my 19th stitch, or my double crochet, which will be my 19th stitch, and then when I join it, that will be the 20th stitch. Okay, so each hole from the previous row has 2 stitches in it. This one right now only has 1, that chain, so I'm going to do the second one. Go through 1, 2. So now I've got 19 of these little chain loops. Let me count it. Was it this one? Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. No, it must have been this one, because there's my chain. So I've got to think of which one am I going to join this one to. So it's this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. And when I join it, whoop, go do a slip stitch. I just go through, pull the yarn through, pull it through a second one. Now that chain that was on the hook has become my 20th stitch. So let me count again. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Alright, so I've gone from 10 to 20. I need to add another 10 stitches to increase again. So this row, instead of doing 2, now I could do 2 stitches in each hole, but that would double it. I'd go from 20 to 40, and I don't want to do that. So I'm going to do 2 in every other one. So here I am, I've joined. Now I need to build up to the next level. 1, 2 stitches, that's my chain. And right here, I'm going to do just 1 double crochet. 2. Now the reason why I'm only doing 1 here is because as I work all the way around, I'm going to do 1 in here. I found that instead of doing 2 in the first stitch and then leaving the 1 in the last stitch, it makes for a cleaner, neater and not so gappy join. So I'm going to do 1 double crochet here and then 2 in the next one and alternate all the way around. So 1 and 2. Alright, so we've done 1 in the first one, 2 in the second one. We're going to do 1 in the next one. Pick up the yarn, go through, 1, 2. So it's 1, 2, 1, 2 in the next one. Alright, 1 in the next one. And I forgot to tell you that the crochet hook size that I'm using for this project is 6mm. It's a J. I find that using a bigger hook makes larger stitches and makes the end result project a little bit bigger. I like that. Alright, so where are we? 2. Oh, I did 2 in that one. I should have only done 1. Look how easy it is to undo it. Ta-da! Alright, so 2, 1. This one will have 2. 1, 2, and then 1, and then 2. Oh, 2 in this one. Make sure I'm reading it right. There's 2, and 1, and 2. This one will have 1. Oh, that should have been 1. Should have been 2. Oh, this one should have been 1. Look at that. 2, 1, 2, 2, 2. What was I thinking? Apparently I wasn't. There we go. Alright, so 1, 2, 1. See? I did that on purpose just so you could see how you could undo it. Alright, 2, 1. I'm going to do 2 in this one. And 1 in the next one. And then 2. And then 1. And 2. And 1. And 2. And 1. And 2. And then 1. And now here we are, all the way back round. So this last stitch, remember my chain is my first stitch, but it's in my last stitch. So I've done 1, 2, 1, and this will have 2 because of the chain and the stitch. So I'm going to slide that in there. Alright, so now we've practiced half double crochet, double crochets, and I'm going to count the chains around the edge. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 28, 29. Now if we were going to join it, we would join it here with a slip stitch and it would make 30. But that's not how we're going to join this project. we are now, let me undo it and go back. We are now going to build up and create this edge, and then we're going to decrease and go around the back, and this part is going to be in one continuous spiral. It's not going to join and then build up and go around and join and build up and go around. And to create this spiral look, we're only going to use one of the loops along the edge of our chain. We're going to join it in what's called the back loop only. We're not going to join it here and go under the whole braid. We're going to just go through the back loop only, and we're going to do a single crochet. So a single crochet, instead of picking up the yarn and going through our stitch, we just simply have the one stitch on the hook. We go through, in this case, the back loop, pull through the stitch, so that we've got two loops, and then pull through both. And we're going to do that all the way around in the back loop only. And as you can see, it's starting to create this row. Now we're going to use a stitch marker because I think it helps you see where your stitches began. Now I've been doing these projects quite a lot, and I'm used to seeing this spiral, and so I know I've come all the way back down to round to the beginning when I see that spiral mark which you can see these first two stitches right here. So if I was to continue all the way around to get to here, I would recognize here is where that spiral starts, and here there aren't any. But for the ease of it, I'm going to go ahead and put a stitch marker in this first stitch. Then with it hanging out here, it's going to be easy for me to know when I've come all the way around, because I want to go around twice in a single crochet in the back loop only. Alright, get some thread, here we go. So one stitch on my hook, going through the back loop only, pull the stitch through, okay, back loop only. I'm going to keep going all the way around. So if you need to pause it, I'm going to keep going. If you need to fast forward because you're quicker than me, then you can do that too. Do you see this row creating? The line creating as I stitch the row, whatever the proper terminology reference to that is. That's another reason why I chose to do a plain colored yarn, so that you can see some of these patterns if just from the stitches. If I had variegated yarn that changes colors as you go, the colors itself make a pattern and a design which is lovely, but it's very much harder to recognize your stitches. And part of what you're learning in this process is to see what you're making, to recognize what you're making, so that you can read it, so that you can copy it, recognize it, all of those things. You want to know what it is you're making. Have I got all the way around yet? Not quite. We're almost there, look at that. And do you see how this spiral line is creating? So if I didn't have the stitch marker, which I'll take out for a moment, I could still recognize, if I do a few more, I can still recognize, see how I've come back round to the beginning. The stitch marker just makes it easier, especially when you start venturing into different types of fabrics that are harder to see the lines from the yarn. So I'm going to do a single crochet all the way around again. So what we've done is we've started off with our circle, we've expanded it out, we're now kind of building up the sides before we close up on the other side. So continue to do a single crochet in the back loop only all the way around until we come back to our stitch marker. These projects, these first few projects, the scrunchies, the necklaces, and these round dishcloths and round dish scrubbies, I can usually get them done in about 15 to 20 minutes, depending on if I do it while I'm watching a movie, while I'm talking with friends, or what have you, or if I'm just kind of casually doing it, not trying to rush or anything. So me pausing to explain it a little bit is taking a little bit longer than it normally takes to do. So I don't want you to be discouraged by the length of the video, thinking, oh my goodness, it's going to take me all this time just to do a round dishcloth. No, it doesn't. Almost back round to the beginning. Alright, now we need to decrease. We've come all the way back round. Do one more. We need to decrease. Each of these stitches we'll do in the reverse on the back. So just like each of these, there was 2 in every stitch and then 2 every other stitch. This one, these 2 rows, we just did 1 in each stitch, which is why it's created this little bowl effect. Now we're going to kind of do it in reverse. So we will decrease 2 stitches and then do 1 stitch, decrease 2 stitches and then 1 stitch. And how we do that, we'll continue doing our single crochet. So this next stitch, I'm going to go in as if I'm going to do a single crochet, pick up the yarn, but I'm immediately going into the next one to join it together, pick up the yarn and then pull it through all 3. And you see how those 2 stitches have now become 1. The next stitch is a single crochet in the back loop only, and then I'm going to join these next 2. So I'll go in the first one, pull through the yarn as if I'm going to do a single crochet, but immediately go in the second one and pull all 3 together. Alright, let me do a couple more. Single crochet in the back loop only, 1, 2, single crochet, and then join the next 2 together, 1, 2. So you can see how we're alternating it, just the same as we did as we increased, but we're now bringing the 2 stitches together to decrease it. And as you can see, you're creating this lovely little spiral kind of ridges going around. This again is a very forgiving kind of project, that if I forgot where I was, is the next stitch a single or is it 2? It doesn't really matter. This is a dishcloth round. It's not a hat, it's not going to worry if it looks lopsided or anything. You're going to wash dishes with it. So if for some reason you forget which stitch is which, and you did 2 single crochets or 2 together crochets by mistake, it won't really matter. You're practicing. The more you do it, the more comfortable you'll be with the project as well. Alright, here we are. There's my stitch marker coming back around, so I know I'm getting close to the beginning of the project again. Alright, so again you can see these lines, really nice and helpful. I'm going to do 1 more single crochet in the back loop only. Now, just like this second row here was 2 in every single one to increase, I'm going to join 2 together all the way around. So go in the first one and go in the second one and join them. Go in the first one, go in the second one and join them. I'm going to do that all the way around to the stitch marker again, and I'll probably even go beyond the stitch marker because I want to decrease this hole at the top till there's only about 5 or 6 stitches. One, 2 together. 1, 2 together. Here's my little stitch marker coming back around. 1, 2 together. 1, 2 together. I'm just going to keep going. 1, 2 together. 1, 2 together, and maybe one more. 1, come on, 2 together. So once I've got down to just this tiny little hole, I'm going to pull a little bit of a larger loop so it doesn't come undone, leave a bit of a tail, and I'm going to cut my cotton and then pull my tail part through this loop to tie it in a knot. And there we have the back part of it. There's my little stitch marker. I'm going to take it out and see the front of my project, nice and flat, and the back of my project. Now I don't want to leave the hole in it, so I'm going to gather it like I would a drawstring bag. Use my yarn needle, and again in these little braids I'm just going to gather through just the back loop only. I don't want to thread it in here, in this part here, because then it would clump all this together. If I just do the 1 stitch, again kind of like starting off my project, it will make it nice and neat and tight, and thread it through there. Now when I pull it together, it cinches it nice and close, and I'm going to just create a loop and thread, where is it, there we go, and thread my yarn through it a couple of times. Keep calling it yarn, it's cotton, it's thread, whatever you want to call it, to tie a knot. And I want this knot and this tail hidden in the middle, so this is how I do that. Where this knot is, I'm just going to go right back through into the middle of the project and bring the needle out to the side. Okay, and then pull it tight. that pulls the knot. I can still feel it, but it's kind of tucked it inside now. And then following these stitches, I'm going to thread the needle through, but I'm going to kind of do a back stitch. So I'm going to go around this stitch and then thread it through and bring it up here. I'm not going to pull it very tight because I don't want it to gather or pucker up the work. Oh, make sure I leave a little tail. I'm going to do that a few times. So again, I'm going to go around this stitch and thread it forward a few stitches. Oh. There we go, hides it nicely. One more time, thread it, pull it through. And then with this last little bit, as you can see, it doesn't stretch very far. I'm just gonna do a back stitch kind of thing, and then got my needle in the middle of the work, so I'm threading it just through to the opposite side, and I'm going to pull it tight so I know the stitch is tucked in. And then when I straighten out my work, that tail is now hidden nicely inside. And there we have a nice round cotton dishcloth. These dry nicely. You can stick them in the washing machine with your towels and the top rack of the dishwasher. Nice and soft. It's not going to scratch your dishes, and it's not too big and bulky that it doesn't fit down inside your cups and stuff. So there's a few little dishcloths. Enjoy the project, and I look forward to seeing you when we make the dish scrubbies. Same pattern, different yarn.